All right, I'll just introduce myself finally after a day and a half of being up here. I'm just going to take a few minutes. I want to thank everybody for still hanging out here and just kind of talk about the community that we're making, that we're putting together here, and the fact that we are here, that we're in a bigger room, that we've been up here for a day and a half, and we could probably spend a whole nother day talking about the great stuff that's happening at n-Lorem, and so I'm just very appreciative of you being here. I think I don't need to tell anyone here that Nano-rare needs a community. I mean, it is the rarest of rare patients, and many of these patients have realized that their gene, their disease is under-researched, underfunded, there's no treatment. They have been dismissed by multiple physicians, told there's nothing for them. They've had to become geneticists and cell biologists and chemists and lobbyists and fundraisers. And so, the fact that you need a community, you need a place to come together and have a collective voice. And so that was really important to us, to not just make a medicine, but to also create this forum for these patients. And so, I just feel very privileged to be able to share what we've been doing to create that community with you today. And so I don't really need to go through any of this because you know why you need a community, but I really did want to talk about the things that we've done to try to create this community. And obviously, this Nano-rare patient colloquium, which has now become annual. Yeah. So next year we'll be doing this again. It'll probably be 2.5 days maybe. This is really important to us, to be able to provide this information to you, to bring you into n-Lorem and show you what we've put together, the processes that we have, how we develop the drugs, and then bring the physicians here and let them tell you the challenges that they have, and then also highlight the needs that we need from the community. We're here for you, but we also need from you. We need your voice to help us continue to do what we're doing. We have a podcast series, which I'll talk about really quickly. Social media is really important to us. It's a way to disseminate information to a broad community. We have our website, which has a lot of stuff on it, presentations and patient community presentations that we've given. We are a really small team, so we have a lot of asks of us, and so we try to go to the meetings where we think we're going to make the most impact, but really what we want to do is hunker down at the lab and make the drugs. And so we try to balance those two things. We're obviously publishing as we get learnings to come in, so we can share those with the community. And then we're treating the patients we can today, but we're also working on how to treat more patients tomorrow. And so that's something that's always in the back of our mind. We have multiple ways to reach the community. So these are the ways that I can give you numbers for. And so everybody likes quantitative numbers, and so I can give you 4 numbers here. So social media, I'm happy to say that we have over 1.2 million impressions. I'm not really on social media that much, but I think that means that we're getting the word out. Our podcast series, we have over 25,000 downloads. We've released 60 episodes. How many people here have listened to the podcast? I see some hands that haven't gone up, so you have your homework from me. We have two ways that we do the podcast, so I will actually talk about that in another slide real quick. Our website allows us to give patient voices, and so we are blinded to patient identity. If a patient wants to kind of have their voice on their website, I encourage you to reach out to me because I probably don't know who you are, and we would love to share your voice and your story with the community through our website, maybe through participating in our panel here. And community outreach, we have they have hundreds of touch points here, and so my inbox, we have participation in disease-focused meetings. We have engagements through our partners where we can bring patient family stories into our partners to help, really cement what they're doing for the community. And we have foundations and just engagement across the board. How do we compare over last year? Because those are really big numbers, and those are like our 5-year scorecard. But I thought it might be really important to just show you the growth over the last year. And so social media, we've really had a concerted effort to reach more people through social media. We have increased our podcast series audience. We think that the podcast is a really great way to educate the community, and we spend a lot of time thinking about the content. Stan spends a lot of time putting together the content, doing his lecture series, and then also the great interviews that we have. Our website continues to get more and more useful. As we find a need, we put more information on there, and then just an increase in sharing our learnings. This is just an example of some of the podcasts that we have that are educational. And so if you don't know how drugs are used, like we have a great podcast for you. If you don't understand intrathecal dosing and why that's really necessary, why we feel that that's necessary for CNS, there's a podcast for you. These are short, digestible. You can listen to them on your way to work, whatever. So, and we actually have a lot of patient families that tell us that they've learned a lot from these podcast series, and so they're really accessible to the everyday person. Yeah, we have 25 of those. So beyond the numbers, the numbers are great, but what have we really done? I think we've been very successful in creating a community for Nano-rare. I think we have a unified, cohesive patient community, and the fact that we had so many people that wanted to come and participate. We had over 40 panelists and participants today. We had 500 people sign up either in person or online, and so that just, to me, really, we are unifying this community. I'm going to give us kudos for last year's Colloquium, and hopefully think that we were successful this year. And then, we're just continue to engage and support our partners who are supporting us and adding new partners, to our community here. We have a lot of educational initiatives through the podcast series, and I think we're just creating a groundswell of excitement. So, how you can help? So, it takes a community. We need from you. Most importantly, become a donor. So, in Stan's presentation that he gave after lunch, he gave that individual donor slide, and while I was putting that together, we kind of scratched our head because it feels like we're getting a lot of new individual donors, but then when you look at the number, it's like, oh really, do we only have 280 different individual donors? Like, that's not even the number of people that signed up for the Colloquium. And Stan, in very Stan fashion, said, I want you to get 10,000 by the end of next year. So so that's my number, so everybody please become a donor so I can try to reach that. Share the word, raise awareness, advocate broadly, advocate within your institution for treatment, and support our mission. So fundraise with us, join our community. And I have a sizzler role for the podcast. I hear that that's what that's called. So I just wanted to play that really quickly so you can see what you're missing on this podcast series.
Hello, I'm Stan Crook, and welcome to the n-Lorem podcast series, a podcast series that focuses exclusively on the needs of patients with nano-rare diseases.
It's a privilege and an opportunity to look at this child in the eyes and say, I'm going to do my darndest to do something. This isn't about just doing something and going away. I mean, this is about setting, like we are changing the landscape of rare disease drug discovery and development, starting with the most rare.
Stan, we try to contain our enthusiasm because we're very early on in a 2-year clinical trial, but we are seeing terrific progress.
She really is more than 1 in a million, probably 1 in 50 million, but that doesn't mean we leave her behind.
So to me, it reminded me of a big brother and a younger brother. They get a fight, they get into a fight, but they still come together at the end because they're family. And I really felt the same way as we've now been working together on n-Lorem.
Well, I think we did come together around a family, and the family is the nano-rare patient.
So go find our podcast, join us, and thank you.